So, of course, 5 finals to look at today. The start list for the men's vault. Eric Bagdasaryan will be getting us underway. Armenia well represented as ever in these World Challenge Cup events. So lots of familiar names on that start list, as well as some youngsters to look out for as well. Well, there is the ominous sounding bell signifying the end of the warm-up.
Representing Armenia, Eric Bagdasaryan.
Eric Bagdasaryan of Armenia, the 18-year-old. Won gold for his country in this event on rings last year. Can he translate that to the vault? Oh, well, that is a disappointing landing. The chest down, ending up on his knees. A disappointing first vault. He qualified in 5th position with a 13.7, and that landing will elicit a big deduction in terms of the execution. Just didn't get the chest up in time. Pressure's on now for vault 2. Competed at the Junior Worlds in Antalya last year. Now making his move into senior competition. Steeling himself in preparation for this crucial second vault. His coaches and team looking on.
Ladies and gentlemen, representing Armenia, Eric Bagdasaryan, second vault.
12.733, a disappointing score for the first vault. Oh, and much better for the second, just a slight step back with the left leg on landing, but he certainly atoned for the earlier vault. Although in a high-quality final such as this one, you suspect that penalisation for the execution of the first will hit him too hard to be in with a chance of finishing in the top 3. Nice form throughout the air. Feet nicely pointed, legs tight together, and a pretty solid landing as well. So a 12.733 for the first. You suspect that the second will score higher, but of course, given it is an average of those 2 scores, the overall average will be dragged down. He looks relaxed nonetheless. Well, much better for the second, and 9.2 for the execution, which is far, far higher, of course, than the first, but still gives him an overall score of 12.966, which I would say rules him entirely out of contention for a medal. But Bagdasaryan of Armenia sets the score. He sets the bar for the rest of the athletes. Paul Schmelzer of Austria next to go, the 20-year-old, making his debut at World Challenge Cup level. Positive debut indeed to have made the final. Coach looks pleased with that one. You could see in the air, though, it looked in mid-air as though he was almost veering off to the right. He was travelling quite dramatically to the right. It looked like the landing was good. The slight hop forward in terms of the axis throughout the air, not entirely straight and true. Coach happy with it though. He scored a 13.475 in qualification, qualified in 8th place. He actually had an operation 3.5 years ago that required shoulder surgery on that left shoulder, but has certainly made a full recovery in those 3.5 years, back to competing at elite level. Always difficult to have those setbacks. Paul Schmotzer readying himself for vault number 2. Well, that is a huge score for his first vault. That would have seen him qualify in 2nd place. The highest qualification score was 14.7. So that is an excellent, excellent first vault. Can the Austrian emulate that for his 2nd?
Ladies and gentlemen, representing Austria, Paul Schmeiser, 2nd vault.
Oh, and another good landing from the Austrian. Confident and composed, he gets the congratulations of his coach before he makes his way over to the waiting area, while the judges tot up their scores. Look of absolute determination across his eyes on the run-up. Good speed up the runway. Decent height off the top of the table, and nice form in the air. The axis on the 2nd, much straighter than on the 1st, sticking within the tram lines, and that was very positive indeed from the 20-year-old Austrian. .750 overall, lower score for the 2nd, dragging the overall total down by quite some margin. Just up on his overall score for qualification. Well, listen to the cheers going up around the arena for their home hope, Dimitar Dimitrov. Bulgaria's Athlete of the Year from 2018, the 27-year-old. Finished 6th on vault in this event last year. Second best in qualification. Well, that is such a shame. He almost looked in disbelief there as he realised he'd landed on his backside. And that will incur a heavy penalty. He got fantastic speed on the run-up. You can see the coach behind, frustrated on his athlete's behalf. Well, his best result this year has been 8th on the vault in Cairo. He also competed at the World Cups in Baku and Cottbus. Didn't make too much of an impact in either of those, but will be bitterly disappointed with that first vault, given that he was the 2nd best in qualification with a 13.925. He needs to shake that one off, put that disappointment behind him, because this is a brand new vault. Needs to regroup, refocus.
Ladies and gentlemen, representing Bulgaria, Dimitrov, second vault.
Well, he really stuck the landing in that one. Just a slight hop forward, but far, far more positive from Dimitrov for his second vault. And I think that's probably a better way to end the final, ending on a positive note, rather than end with the bad landing and have that be the one that you remember. Much better from the Bulgarian. Not quite the same speed up the runway, perhaps he modified that. Good form throughout the air, the legs tight together. A good landing as well. He looks pretty dejected, doesn't he? The shake of the head. Clearly hopeful of a medal coming into this, having qualified as the second strongest. 13.533 puts him in second so far, second of three. France's Nicolas Diaz took silver on the floor yesterday, so he's having a very good weekend so far. Took the silver behind Dmitry Patanin of Kazakhstan, the 19-year-old from Chambéry. Third best in qualifying with a 13.9. Oh, well, that was a fantastic vault. The coach knows it as he pumps his fists in celebration. Powerful, composed. And he sticks the landing as well. Nice tight tuck in the air. Well, it's a big score for the first, 14.5. The highest score so far. A very different second vault. Wasn't travelling quite as true throughout the air as he was in the first, but two very solid vaults indeed for the Frenchman. 19-year-old salutes the crowd, certainly pleased with his efforts out there. And you suspect that he has just vaulted to the top of the standings. Deviating slightly from those tram lines. And a thumbs up for the camera, and why not? So 14.5 for the first. Diaz, who finished third in qualification, but we've seen that Dimitrov, who finished above him in the qualifying, hasn't been able to live up to those same standards, so you suspect that this vault final is wide open at the moment. Well, the next four athletes to go are currently warming up. 14.1. Diaz is in the lead as things stand at this midway point. So 14.1, the score to beat, and that is higher than his score in qualification. So he will be satisfied with that, no matter what the result at the end. It will be Vladimir Kostyuk of Ukraine who gets us back underway. He leads the charge for the next 4 athletes to go on vault. He is one of 2 Ukrainians in this final. Nazar Chaperny, also representing the country. Familiar name on many start lists in these World Challenge Cups and World Cups. This is Botond Molnar of Hungary. He will be last to go. Plenty of support, of course, for the host nation in this arena in Varna. We saw fans with their flags held aloft yesterday and again today, which is wonderful to see. Great to see as well so many youngsters watching on too, friends, family and the general public. And of course the athletes cheer each other on from the stands as well, which is really wonderful to see that kind of camaraderie.
Walk is over, good luck.
Vladimir Kostyuk next to go. Finished 6th in qualifying with a 13.550, the 20-year-old from Dnipro.
Ladies and gentlemen, representing Ukraine, Vladimir Kostyuk.
Last competed in Varna back in 2021. And then it was only on the floor. He didn't make it to the final, but it is good to see him back in Varna and good to see him in a final as well. He also competed at World Challenge Cups in Cairo last year, so it's excellent indeed to see him competing once again at these events after that hiatus. Oh, and that is a shame. Similar landing to Eric Bagdasaryan of Armenia. Both landing on the floor. He had such incredible speed on his run-up. We saw Bagdasaryan modifying that pace on his approach for his second vault, and I wonder if we'll see Kostyuk do the same thing. He was part of Ukraine's silver medal winning team at the Junior Worlds in Hungary in 2019. He's 20 years of age now, so made a successful transition from the juniors to the seniors. Now, can he forget that disappointing first vault, shake that one off and produce something special for his second?
Representing Ukraine, Vladimir Kostyuk, second vault.
Oh, well, it's much better. Nails the landing that time. Again, such incredible speed on the run-up. Good height off the top of the table and a true straight line throughout the air. Landing well within those tram lines. Let's just take another look at this. It's so much more positive than the first. Maintains his form in the air really well. Slight hop back on landing, but he will certainly be pleased with his second effort. 13.4. Overall,
Representing
gets him into
Mongolia,
third place as things stand. Sukba Kembaya, one of two Mongolians competing in Varna this weekend. 22 years of age. A nice landing indeed. Finished 7th in qualifying with a 13.525. He's also represented his nation at the World Championships. He competed in Antwerp last year in all events except for the vault, interestingly. Didn't make it to any of those finals, but nevertheless a wonderful experience to be competing on the biggest of stages.
Representing Mongolia,
That's a high score for his first. Can he emulate it for his second? Oh, so graceful throughout the air, and what a wonderful landing as well. The slightest of shuffles. He maintained his form very well indeed, and you suspect that he could be challenging Nicola Diaz at the top of that podium. .525 was his qualifying score. You suspect he will have bettered that here in the final, of course, where it really counts. 13.7 for his first. Eagerly anticipating the judges' verdicts. 13.466. That gets him into third position. As things stand, he just edges out Kostyuk, who got a 13.4. Nazar Chaperny is next up, the vault specialist. The best in qualifying by quite some margin with a 14.7. Bronze medalist in Antwerp at the World Championships last year on vault. European team champion, vault bronze, earlier this year in Rimini. Oh my goodness. We couldn't have predicted that. Of all the gymnasts to go on this apparatus, Chaperny is the one that you'd bet your house on sticking the landing. By far and away the best in qualifying, by far and away the most experienced on this apparatus. And that is very disappointing for him indeed, but it really, really means that this final is now absolutely wide open. Nicola Diaz of France will be rubbing his hands together, thinking that his position at the top of the standings is safe. Chaperny just adding some extra chalk there to the vault, can't afford any slip-ups, or any further slip-ups anyway.
Representing Ukraine, Nazar Chupurny, second vote.
A shot at redemption now for Chupurny. Oh, and he does it that time. Big cheers for the Ukrainian, who absolutely sticks his landing, more than makes amends for his first vault. His form in the air as well was really wonderful. Nice tight tuck. Good height off the top of the table, and that is as good a vault as any. .383. He has got himself into the lead.
Representing Hungary,
He leapfrogs Nicola Diaz to take the lead, despite that botched landing on the first. Last but not least, Botond Molnar of Hungary, 5th on the floor yesterday. This is the second final he's competing in over the course of this weekend. 8th in this event last year. Oh my goodness, what a save. 4th in qualification with a 13.725.
Representing Hungary, Botond Molnar, second vote.
A very similar landing to the first, 3 big hops back. Crucially, he does remain on his feet. He needs to beat 13.7 if he is to get himself a place on that podium. 13.2 for his first. You suspect that that might be a bit of a big ask. Botond Molnar rounds out the men's vault final as he makes his way towards the waiting area, where we eagerly anticipate the judges' scores, but it is a 13.7 that he needs to beat to make it onto the podium. It is currently Nazar Chupurny who is sitting at the top of those standings. 13.366. So not enough for Molnar to contest those podium places. So it is Nazar Chupurny of Ukraine, the highest scorer, despite that botched landing. He knocks Nicola Diaz of France into the silver medal position. So that's a double silver medal for Diaz this weekend. Successful weekend for the Frenchman. And Paul Schmutzer of Austria makes up the podium. He will take the bronze. The women's beam is our next event, but before that, it will be the award ceremony for the athletes that we have just seen in action. Led out by Paul Schmutzer of Austria. Nazar Ciperni, the familiar face on the vault podiums, in the middle, claiming gold.
Third place and bronze medal, representing Austria, Paul Schmutzer.
Paul Schmutzer claims the bronze on vault in his debut at a World Challenge Cup competition.
Second place and silver medal, representing France, Nicolas Diaz.
This is the second silver medal of the weekend for the Frenchman, Nicolas Diaz. He adds the vault silver to the silver he won on the floor yesterday.
Representing Ukraine, Nazar Ciperni.
Well, who else but Nazar Ciperni atop the podium despite that disappointing landing for his first vault.
Third place awards.
He pulled it out the bag for his second, and he claims the gold.
Second place awards, President Bulgarian Federation of Artistic Gymnastics, Vice Olympic Champion Krasimir Dunev.
Второ място награждава президента на Българската федерация гимнастика Красимир Донев.
First place award, FIG President of Technical Committee Artur Mickiewicz.
Първо място награждава президента на техническия комитет към ФИГ Артур Мицкевич.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise up for the national anthem of Ukraine.
A huge congratulations to all the medalists, Nazar Ciperni, Nicolas Diaz and Paul Schmutzer. Big smiles for the cameras. Of course, these photographs, as well as their medals, will be a great memento of their achievement here today. Well, those are the 8 best competitors on the men's parallel bars. They've been introduced to the judges, and to the crowd, and that is the lineup. Turkey and Ukraine very well represented with 2 finalists. It'll be Christopher Mazaros of Hungary who gets things underway. Can France's Cameron Lee Bernard claim another medal for the country to add to the 2, or the 3 rather, that France have already claimed so far this weekend? He was the best in qualification. Can he replicate that form in the final where it really matters? Well, Christopher Mazaros of Hungary currently warming up on the apparatus. The 22-year-old is pretty experienced at this level, at World Cup and World Challenge Cup level. He's got a total of 4 World Cup medals to his name already. He's competing in his 2nd World Challenge Cup of the year, competed in Croatia in Osijek earlier this year. Didn't make it through to the final. Oleg Vanev of Ukraine. Will he claim a 2nd medal? Well, the best parallel bars work is smooth and rhythmic. Of course, we want to see these gymnasts maintain their balance. We don't want to see hesitation. Walking in handstands, as well as extra swings or hesitations, they'll all elicit points deductions. So we want to see smooth transitions between the elements. We want to see shows of strength and balance. We don't want to see any kind of movement when athletes are meant to be holding their position. We want to see smooth, rhythmic work. Well, we will have a new champion on this apparatus this year. The champion from Varna last year, Matvey Petrov, is not competing, so there is a new gold medalist to be named.
Warm-up is over. Good luck.
Well, we haven't seen Christopher Mazaros in Varna since 2021. He reached 2 finals then in the floor, and the pommel horse just missed out on a medal. And the pommel horse finishing in 4th. He's not necessarily a specialist on this apparatus. We see him with most of his success coming on the floor. He's a 2-time European Championships medalist on the floor. Got a silver in Munich in 2022. And just a few weeks ago in Rimini,
Ladies and gentlemen,
he got bronze on the floor.
representing Hungary, Christopher Mazaros.
Handstand well held. finished 5th in qualifying with a 14.2. Slight wobble there on the handstand. Not necessarily holding the shape or holding his form. Well, he seems to be improving as he gets further into his routine, finding a bit more of a rhythm and looking more comfortable. And he sticks the landing. Big cheers going up for Christopher Mazaros of Hungary. First one to get this final underway, and it's a difficult thing to do to go first. You set the standard, but then once you have performed, you know that it's out of your hands and you can sit back and enjoy the rest of the competition. Well, he better. The 14.2 that he got in qualification. That routine is worth a 6.4 in terms of difficulty. It is the most difficult of the routines in this final. .133, slightly down on qualifying, but he has got the difficulty. This is Oleg Verniev of Ukraine, took silver on the still rings yesterday. Or took bronze rather on the still rings. We'll be hopeful of adding another medal to the collection from this weekend. A very familiar face at World Cup and World Challenge Cup events. If there is a final to be made, you would bet that he will be in it. He's an Olympic medalist, an Olympic gold and silver medalist, a world champion, a European champion 7 times over, a 2-time European Games champion. Won gold on this event at the Rio Olympics in 2016. He is a parallel bars specialist. He's pretty useful across a number of other events though, so he is a good member of the team when competing in team events and all around. But certainly the parallel bars are where he very much feels at home. European Games champion in Minsk on this apparatus in 2019.
Ladies and gentlemen, representing Ukraine, Oleg Verniev.
He's 30 years old now. He is vastly experienced. just see the sheer effort that holding that handstand was taking on him. He was never fully comfortable there. He was shaking with the effort, and that is really disappointing to see the former Olympic champion come off the apparatus like that. Not what we would have expected. He was third best in qualification with a 14.250. Third most difficult routine with a 6 difficulty rating. Let's see how he recovers from that. And that was beautifully done, so elegant. Huge swing, great momentum. An absolutely incredible display of core strength and balance, and a good landing as well. It's always fascinating to watch an athlete's reaction as soon as they have finished performing. His was sort of a look of resigned relief, I think. A wry smile. Perhaps not his day, but he has won pretty much everything there is to win on this apparatus. Well, he's seen his score before we have. He's looking at the electronic scoreboard displayed inside the arena. A 13.2 for Oleg Vernev.
Ladies and gentlemen, representing France, Cameron Lee Bernard.
This is Cameron Lee Bernard of France, the best in qualification with a huge score of 15.150. This is the most difficult routine in this final, alongside that of Nazar Chaperny. This is worth a 6.3 on the difficulty scale. France are always so well supported. You can always hear cries of allez coming from the fellow gymnasts from the crowd. We saw him competing in Doha. Didn't actually make it through to the parallel bars final there, finishing 9th, just missed out. And that was a really solid performance indeed from the Frenchman, who makes his first final this year in World Cup, or World Challenge Cup rather. He was in the final in Cairo, finishing 5th on the parallel bars there. But this is the first World Challenge Cup we've seen him at this year. I'm sure he comes into this final with high hopes of a medal. France, of course, their gymnasts will be keen to perform, keen to hit form at the right time ahead of their home Olympic Games. The gymnastics event for that will take place at the Bercy Arena, which hosts many, many sporting events, musical events, and that is where these gymnasts will be competing in July on the biggest stage of all. Well, 15.150 was a big score in qualifying.
Ladies and gentlemen, representing
No such
Turkey,
score in
Dogan.
the final. This final, a much lower scoring affair than the qualifying round. Altan Dogdan is one of two Turkish athletes in this one. Finished 7th in qualifying with a 14.050. Just 18 years of age still. Another promising young athlete. This is his debut at a World Challenge Cup competition. This has got a difficulty rating of 5.3, so his execution score is incredibly high in qualifying. And he is performing with utter confidence. Really smoothly through the transitions. It's a very assured routine indeed from the 18-year-old, who will be hopeful of bettering his qualification ranking of 7. He is the 4th athlete to go in this final. We've reached the midway point in proceedings. Currently it's Cameron Lee Bernard of France who leads the standings with a 14.33. But of course we await the results for Altan Dogdan. That really was a lovely routine. Well worked, slick, confident, graceful as well. The L-sit really well held there. Well, that is the 3rd highest score at the moment as things stand. All of these athletes down on their qualifying scores. You suspect that in qualifying they really went for broke, but none of them have quite managed to translate that form from qualifying into the final so far. Oleg Verneyev, the veteran, the out-and-out parallel bars specialist, in 4th position in the standings at the moment at this midway stage. We're just taking another look now at Cameron Lee Bernard of France, who is currently in the gold medal position, but of course much can change because we still have 4 athletes still to go.
Warm-up is over. Good luck.
Warm-up is over. Good luck is the message that comes across from the stadium announcer. This is Petar Vefic of Serbia next to go. He was 6th in qualifying with a 14.1. If he scored a 14.1 now, that would get him onto the podium. It's been a lower scoring final round. He is 24 years of age. Followed his older brother into gymnastics. He has competed at World Cups, never actually made a final in one before. In World Championships, rather. Saw him competing earlier this year in Baku at the World Cup. In floor and parallel bars, didn't make the final there. Nor in Cottbus or in Cairo. So this is his first final of the year. He made the final in Varna last year in the floor exercise, and on the rings finished 6th on the vault, on the parallel bars rather. Well, it was a solid performance from the Serbian. Sixth in qualifying, 6th in the final last year. Can he go one better? He was 4th in qualifying last year and fell down 2 spots, but you suspect that given it's been a lower scoring final, there is certainly room for manoeuvre. Big thumbs up to the camera. Vefic looking relaxed. Well, I think he's asking if he can go again. He's seen his score, so he thinks that's his time to exit, but he must wait until confirmation is official. And we've seen his score as well. These athletes can see the big electronic scoreboard in the arena, and we've seen time and time again that once they've seen their score, they try and up and leave, only to be told to sit back down again. 13.766, another one who's down on his qualification. But that is enough at the minute for the bronze medal spot. That could all change though. It's Nazar Chepeny of Ukraine up next. Hopefully he's caught his breath following the vault final in which he won the gold, and can he add another medal to the collection here today? Nazar Chepeny of Ukraine. He finished 2nd in qualifying with a 15.1. Again, with a difficult routine. This is worth a 6.3, both him and Lee Bernard with a 6.3, the 2 most difficult routines in this final. Chepeny is a vault specialist, hence the gold that he got just a little while ago. It's his compatriot Oleg Verneyev, who competed earlier, who is the bars specialist, but given that he came off the apparatus earlier, is it up to Ciaperni now to take over the mantle?
Representing
14.3. Oh my goodness, he's in second place, but only just, because Cameron Lee Bernard has got a 14.333. Ciaperni into the silver medal spot by the finest of margins. Sweden's David Rambetis is next up. He comes from a gymnastics family. The Swede says he's been inspired by various family members who've achieved great success in this sport. He qualified as the last qualifier with a 14. Multiple members of his family have represented their country at international level. His sister Julia represented Georgia in the European Championships in 2016. His father Sergei represented the Soviet Union and Sweden at the World Championships. His cousin Oskar Kermes and his other cousin Robert Kermes have both represented Finland at Olympic Games and World Championships. And his aunt and uncle Matti and Lena have competed in the sport for Sweden and the Soviet Union. So he is very much continuing to carry the mantle. Well, it was a solid, assured performance, wasn't it, from the Swede? Qualified in last place, but you suspect that he will have done significantly better than that in this final. Represented Sweden at the Tokyo Olympics. His ambition, he said, was to compete in Paris at the forthcoming games. First time we've seen him at a World Challenge Cup this year. There are still 2 more events in this World Challenge Cup series, though, to enjoy before October. The series, of course, running from March to October, so we are reaching the midway point. You can see the Olympic rings there tattooed on his left arm. As I said, he was at the Tokyo Games, and many of these athletes who have represented their countries at the Olympics do get a tattoo afterwards as a reminder of their achievement. It's a 13.7 for the Swede. Down again on qualification, he got a 14 there. But it has been a pretty low scoring final. Not enough to get him onto the podium. Petar Vefic rather, with a 13.766 higher. It's Christopher Mazarosh with a 14.133, who's currently in that bronze medal spot. This is Victor Martinez of Belgium, our final athlete to compete on the parallel bars. He was fourth in qualifying with 14.2. This is worth a difficulty of 5.8. This is the first World Challenge Cup we've seen Martinez compete at since Osijek in Croatia last year. The legs just slightly grazing the bars there will elicit a slight deduction in terms of the execution. Perhaps struggling slightly to fully execute the handstand there. Slight shake of the head as well on landing. Perhaps thinks he should have done better there. The Turk. Apologies, I think I referred to him earlier as Victor Martinez, which is of course incorrect. Yunus Kundukdu of Turkey. This is his second final of the weekend. We saw him yesterday as well. Finished fourth in the Still Rings final. Got through to the final here as the first reserve. With a score of 13.850, which would be a high score in terms of how this final has panned out. Well, he's another one who's seen his score and has tried to get up and has been told to just hold on for a moment. 11.966. Well, his expression said it already, didn't it? When he finished his routine, he shook his head and he looked disappointed with how he did. And that concludes our men's parallel bars final. It will be Cameron Lee Bernard, the Frenchman, who takes the gold, just ahead of Nazar Chaperny of Ukraine with a 4.3. So 2 medals for the Ukrainian in 2 events, which is a pretty decent return. Christopher Mazarosh of Hungary making up the podium with the bronze. So of course we'll be having the awards ceremony for the medalists. Bernard there, looking very pleased indeed with how he did. Of course he'll have a gold medal to show for his efforts very shortly. And then we will be heading over to the women's floor. It is a second gold in as many events for France. Lucy Henner on the beam. And then Cameron Lee Bernard on the parallel bars. So decent decent weekend for the French. Of course, in the very first event as well, we had Nicolas Diaz collecting his second silver of the weekend. Confirmation then of the scores. Just look how tight that is between gold and silver. Cameron Lee Bernard just snatching gold ahead of Nazar Ciperny. Christopher Mazaros of Hungary, France's Cameron Lee Bernard follows on. And Nazar Ciperny brings up the rear. Very close final indeed between gold and silver.
The bronze medal representing Hungary, Christopher Mazaros.
Christopher Mazaros is such a familiar fixture in these finals at World Cup and World Challenge Cup level. And he adds yet another medal to the collection. Well, we expected Ukraine to be on the podium in this event, but perhaps not with Nazar Ciperny. We would have thought Oleg Verniev would have been up there. But Nazar Ciperny adds a second medal to the collection for the day. Cameron Lee Bernard makes it back-to-back golds for France. We saw Lucy Henner taking gold in the beam in the event before this, and he follows with a gold in the parallel bars. 4 medals overall for France this weekend. 2 silvers and 2 golds. A successful campaign for the French team indeed.
And first place award, President of Bulgarian Federation of Artistic Gymnastics, Vice Olympic Champion, Krasimir Dulen.
Първо място награждава президента на Българската федерация по спортна гимнастика Красимир Дунев.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise up for the national anthem of France.
Big congratulations to Cameron Lee Bernard of France on his gold medal on the parallel bars, as well as congratulations to the other 2 medalists, Nazar Ciperny of Ukraine and Christopher Mazaros of Hungary. Well, we still have 2 more finals to come, and it will be the women's floor next. Finish the day on a high with a medal. The hopes are resting on the shoulders of Alexandrov, but it will be a big ask. He was 7th in qualifying. This is the most difficult routine we'll see in this final. It's worth a difficulty rating of 6.3. Wonderful catch and release. Those big swings are so impressive. Oh, well, that is a shame. A real disappointment for Tang Chia-hung, whose execution score will be diminished because of that fall, but thankfully the most important thing is he's okay and he's getting back up onto that bar. Makes it this time. Sticks the landing, but he wasn't quite swinging with the same momentum once he resumed that routine. Didn't quite achieve the same flight, but it's a popular performance. The crowd offering much support to the Chinese Taipei gymnast, who will be disappointed with how that one panned out. He has absolutely nothing to prove, though. He's already got 4 gold medals this year. That could have been nasty. The angle that he landed on his right foot there, he had his right foot bent underneath the body, but thankfully he was unscathed from that fall. Well, he offers the big thumbs up to the camera, nonetheless. Doesn't look too disappointed. .366.
Representing Swiss, Marco Phil.
Significantly down on qualifying, as you'd expect. Marco Phil of Switzerland was 4th in qualification. This is the 2nd lowest ranked routine in terms of the difficulty. It's a 4.9, so you'd expect that his execution will be good. Another experienced athlete, Marco Phil, 26 years of age. He is a youth Olympian. He's been around and about the national team for quite some time. Absolutely nails the landing. A solid and assured performance from the Swiss. A big smile and congratulations from the coach. We've not seen him at a World Challenge Cup since copper in Slovenia in 2021. He reached the final of the horizontal bar that time, finishing in 8th. So it's certainly good to see him returning to World Challenge Cup competition. 12.866. That's disappointing for the Swiss. He's upped his difficulty for this final, but his score is down, and we often see that. Gymnasts will
Representing Belgium,
go through qualifying with a routine that is lower down on the difficulty score so they can really get those points for execution. They then raise the difficulty in the final, but as a result, the execution slips. This is Victor Martinez of Belgium. (21 years of age). We haven't seen him at a World Challenge Cup since last year at Osijek in Croatia. This is his first ever World Challenge Cup final. Indeed, his first ever World Cup final, which is absolutely an achievement in itself. Some big confident swings, and just listen to the reaction from the Belgian. The Belgian absolutely delighted with his performance there, and it was confident, wasn't it? He was good going through his transitions. Well, he was 6th in qualifying with a 13.350, and surely he has bettered that score here in the final. Just look at the momentum. Great catch and release. Slick transitions through all of the elements. It's a wonderful performance from Victor Martinez of Belgium. .333, just down on qualifying, but it does get him into the silver medal position as things stand. Although it is early days, of course. This is our 4th gymnast to go now. Ivan Dijanovic of Serbia, 5th in qualification. Very experienced gymnast. He's competed already this year at World Cups in Baku, in Cottbus, and in Cairo. Not actually made any of the finals in all of them. This is his first final this year, and surely he has got himself into contention for a podium place.
2-minute warm-up for the next 4 athletes.
That was a really, really impressive display on the bar. Huge swings. Great show of strength, balance and grace. Very slick and rhythmic. Ivan Dijanovic, that was an absolute joy to watch. And that takes us to the midway point of this bar final rather. Next 4 athletes currently warming up. Ivan Dijanovic was 5th in qualifying. And 2 of the athletes who finished ahead of him in qualification have already performed. We've got Slizard Zavori and Lorenzo Bonicelli, who was 2nd and 3rd in qualifying, still to come. 13.3. Well, he is just behind Victor Martinez with a 13.333. Agonizingly close.
Warm-up is over. Good luck.
Next up on the bar, Jordan Alexandrov of Bulgaria. He was 7th in qualifying with a 13.3. He hasn't competed at a World Challenge Cup this year. This is his first this year. Finished 7th last year in Slombathe on this apparatus. Generally makes the finals in horizontal bar or parallel bars.
Ladies and gentlemen, representing Bulgaria, Jordan Alexandrov!
He's competed at 3 World Cups this year though, in Baku, Cottbus and in Cairo, and hasn't actually made the final in all of them, so this is certainly a much improved showing for Jordan Alexandrov. He had a 5.2 difficulty rating in his qualifying. Will he add to that in the final? Two huge catches there. I almost held my breath in the first one. I wasn't entirely sure he was going to make it. It was very impressive. Big dismount, sticks the landing, and just listen to the reaction from the crowd. Carrying the hopes of the host nation. The support for their athlete is so vocal. They certainly enjoyed what they saw from Jordan Alexandrov, who I'm sure has brought friends and family along here to watch him compete today. 38.7. He's got himself into second place as things stand. Still 3 more gymnasts to compete. Slezad Zavori was the second strongest in qualification. Still just 18 years of age from Budapest. Oh, it's a shame, the second gymnast to come off the apparatus in this final. And it was going so well up until that point. Crowd cheering him back on. Second in qualifying with a 13.6. Of course, his execution now in this final will be diminished. He's a World Junior Championships medalist on vault. Good landing from Zavori, recovers well from that fall, disappointing. But nevertheless, a very good experience for this young athlete who was competing at junior level last year. This is his World Challenge Cup debut. So it's good for these young athletes to get a feel for international competition at senior level. Compete alongside the older, more experienced gymnasts and really learn from them. And of course, Zavori is not necessarily a horizontal bar specialist, so this is all a good learning experience for him. .466. Well, it's disappointing because he did so well in qualifying to get that big score, the 13.6 behind Tung Chia Hung. Couldn't make it count in the final. This is Turkey's Sercan Demir, who qualified in 8th position. His difficulty was 4.8. Of course, he got through with the execution, and perhaps in this final he'll raise the difficulty level. He's 25 years of age. He is one of the more experienced gymnasts in this final. This is his first World Challenge Cup since 2022. A very solid, assured performance from Demir. Penultimate athlete to go on this apparatus. Well, at the moment, it is Marco Phil who... Oh, my apologies, it is Jordan Alexandrov who leads the standings so far with a 13.7. The other two podium scores at the minute, 13.366 and 13.333. So those are the top three scores. .9 for Sechan Demir. Down on his qualifying score and not enough to challenge for one of the podium places. But what can Lorenzo Bonicelli do? The Italian who is third in qualification. He scored a 13.450, high on the difficulty with a 5.6. Seen him at a World Challenge Cup in a couple of years. Last saw him in Paris. Didn't make any of those finals. He competed for his country at World Junior Championships. And he's another athlete who's successfully transitioned to senior competition.
Representing Italy, Lorenzo Bonicelli.
He made the final yesterday on the floor, finished fourth there. Can he go one better on the horizontal bar? Lorenzo Bonicelli, the last gymnast to compete this weekend. It is a shame, third athlete to come off the apparatus, but luckily he's completely unscathed. But it does mean that those scores that have already been set are most likely the ones that are going to stick in terms of the podium places, in terms of the standings for the top three. Great to hear the support of the crowd as Bonicelli gets back onto the bar. Well, that was an absolutely perfect landing and a big smile across Bonicelli's face as he completes his routine. All went so well once he got back onto the bar. And there is a big hug waiting for him from his coach as well. So Lorenzo Bonicelli rounds out the day's action. 5 finals, 8 athletes in each final. Again, another high-quality day of competition in Varna, just as we had yesterday. (11-4), 3-3 for Bonicelli. That is how the standings look then for the men's high bar. It is Jordan Alexandrov who takes the gold. Tung Chie-hung in the silver medal position, the favourite before this event.
Third place and bronze medal, representing Belgium, Victor Martinez.
Victor Martinez steps up to claim the bronze medal, Belgium's first medal this weekend. Congratulations indeed to Victor Martinez. It's very close indeed between bronze and silver. Martinez with a 13.33. Tung Chie-hung claiming the silver for Chinese Taipei with 13.366. But just wait for the cheer for the gold medal. Jordan Alexandrov claiming gold for the host nation, for Bulgaria, in the final event of the day.
Second place award, President Bulgarian Federation of Artistic Gymnastics, Vice Olympic Champion Krasimir Dunev. And first place award, 1992 Barcelona Olympic High Bar Champion Grant Diman. А сега, дами и господа, моля да се изправим на крака за нашия национален химн на България.
Congratulations indeed to all our medalists from the men's high bar final. Jordan Alexandrov of Bulgaria with the gold, Tung Chie-hung silver for Chinese Taipei, and Victor Martinez with a smile a mile wide takes the bronze for Belgium.